Hi guys, Harden here, back with another Eve Echoes video. I just wanted to do a quick one here to follow up on the video I did yesterday where I was talking a little bit about the politics and my involvement so far in the war between SHH and the Crab Coalition. And I mentioned about like the kind of fun I've been having not participating in the main fleets because I don't have enough time, so I kind of just basically try and do my own thing, try and keep our space as clean as possible when I do have a little bit of time to play, and that's what I've been doing. And I think in my video yesterday I shared a kind of a very one-sided fight in the end, where I kind of wiped a small gang of about four or five. I think it was two inties, a succubus, a stabber, sniper, and so on, solo with one of my drakes. So today was a little bit different. Today I had some old, a couple of old ravens and a typhoon, which I don't normally use. They're just sort of backup. When I got my strikers, I basically put them into storage and they haven't really been doing anything. So this morning I thought I would set those up. So I did. Fairly cheap setup, just using like Caldari Navy mods on the for the missiles. I do have some nano cores, some purple nano cores. I think it's on the two ravens it was Trailblazer nanocore, and on the Typhoon it was a Dark Halo, but again not hugely upgraded. My main nanocores, the ones I put all my money into really, are still on my Raven Strikers, which I kind of use more for PvE than PvP. So anyway, these three ships had been sitting around doing nothing for a long time, and I thought, well, now's the opportunity for a bit of action. I had some fun yesterday with my drakes. So today what I'm going to do is try and have a little bit of battleship fun, and the hottest place in our space, kind of consistently hot at the moment, is BKG, which is an NPC station up in Branch to the north. I'd say it's about 15 or so jumps. I'm not sure from where I'm normally based. So anyway, I set the ships up this morning, and then I kind of wandered up the pipe all by myself. I was worried that I'd get intercepted in between, but I kind of thought you really need a fairly serious gang to take on three battleships, so I thought I'll take a chance on it. So anyway, I got up to BKG, and then I started kind of playing some games at the station. There was about 20 to 25 reds in local, and it was the 25 reds in local, most of whom were docked at the station, and it wasn't that busy. I mean, you would have at times, it was like 4 or 5 reds undocking, warping off. There was no real engagements. The only thing that kind of was interesting for a few hours was I was just sitting at the station, and this chap in an Atron warped in and then just sat outside the station. I don't know what he was doing, and let me lock him, let me kill him. It was a 697 million kill on that guy. So yeah, I was quite happy about that. But then the odd thing is I killed him again a little bit later, which is what the point of this story is. This chap from, I can't see which corp, from Frag. So yeah, he just kind of let me kill him. I don't know why. Maybe he wanted me to pod him and he wanted to go back somewhere. Anyway, I killed that interceptor. About 20 minutes later, I think it was, I'm not quite sure, half an hour later or so, I was still sitting on the station. I had my Typhoon outside the station and my 2 Ravens inside the station. My Ravens were set up with missiles, long range, and my Typhoon was set up with rapids. Again, as I said, all just basic Caldari Navy stuff. And anyway, a Dominic's undocked, and he kind of hung around outside the station a bit longer than usual, so it kind of made me a bit suspicious. As I said, there was 20 reds in local, and I mean there was about 20 blues in local as well, but again, I wasn't really cooperating with any of them. They were all doing their own thing. Most of them were probably inactive anyway. But this Dominic's undocked, and it warped to the LWX gate. I think it's L or LX gate, I'm not sure. As I said, I don't normally live up in BKG, so I'm not really sure of the area there. And so I was kind of thinking this could be a trap, but I thought, well, fuck it, let's go for it anyway. So what I did was I immediately warped my Typhoon after the Dominic, Dominics, and then undocked while simultaneously undocking my 2 Ravens. Now, just to put this in a little bit of context here, I wasn't on my usual setup. Normally I have kind of a couple of emulators, and then I have my tablet, which is quite comfortable for me to play. I can see everything quite clearly. But in this case, I was playing on my tablet, but I was also using my phone, which is a Samsung, and I got to say my eyesight these days is not the best unless I've got my reading glasses on. So the phone, when I play on the phone, it's very, very hard to actually see what each target is for me. So that's a bit tricky. And then I was also playing on an emulator as well, but not my usual one. So that's just to put a bit of context into it. So I walked into this, into the gate, and there was obviously a courser interdictor there. There was a succubus there. There was this Dominix, and I decided to engage again, knowing likelihood that it was going to be a trap. I had actually seen, there was another guy I had seen come back into local who I had seen earlier in a Tempest, but I kind of thought, well, it's still reasonable odds, let's give it a go. So I started engaging, and as soon as I did so, obviously they had some reinforcements warp in, which was that Tempest and also an Oracle. And this was my first mistake here, was I should have actually switched fire immediately onto the Oracle, because basically I could have just wiped the floor with that. I had 2 long range. It took me a little bit, as I said, my Ravens were still in warp, but basically they had the range. I could have taken out the Oracle very, very quickly, or forced it off, and it was actually doing DPS level, it was doing BS level DPS. If I'd removed that, I think the fight would have turned out differently, but I didn't. And again, because of the difficulty of kind of actually seeing and choosing targets on my phone, it was actually hard to see, make coordinate. I think at one stage I was shooting at 2 of the Dominixes, which was obviously splitting my fire and kind of wasted some time, which ultimately cost me. But anyway, the fight started, and I did actually manage to take down the first Dominix first, which, as you can see, it was a very it was armor tanking with 3 core C-type adaptives and a large armor repairer. So very tanky Dominix, worth 800 million. So I took that down. Between me, I think my secondary account did the most damage there. Actually, it's strange, the Typhoon. Where's the Typhoon? Oh, maybe this is where I could have made a mistake. I have just noticed this. This Dominix, I only had my 2 Ravens shooting this, so my Typhoon wasn't shooting this. So basically, I split my fire. So again, that's like a big mistake. First of all, I should have taken out the Oracle as soon as it arrived, and secondly, I split my fire on the 2 Dominixes. So you can see here, my 2 Ravens on their own actually took out this Dominix pretty quickly, and it was the first battleship to die, even though my Typhoon had actually got engaged first. That said, my Typhoon actually is, the DPS is like about 1,700, whereas the 2 Ravens are about 2,200, even with kind of basic missile launchers on those. So that was the first kill, but unfortunately my Typhoon by now was taking a beating from their 2 Dominixes, from their Tempest and the Oracle and their Succubus, and they also had a Dictor. So that was the next one to die, and was actually the most expensive loss of the fight. You can see the Tempest there doing the most damage, 26,000, and then you had the Dominix, but you can see that Oracle there was doing the same level of damage basically as the battleships, and then there was the Celestis. I said Coercer, but it was actually Celestis. So my Typhoon took a pretty good beating. You can see their Kildari Navy. I didn't have a super tank on it. Well, actually, I did have a reasonably good tank on it. I had 2 large shield boosters and 2 hardeners, and a cap battery. In fact, the cap battery probably was a waste of time in the end. I didn't actually need to use that. I could have held my ground for a bit longer, possibly have put another tank mod on there, but again, that's just hindsight. And then in my mid slots, I had Predator Warp Disruptor, Fleet Target Painter, and a couple of webs, and then mid slots just some basic drones that I kind of threw in there, and it was a Typhoon Dark Halo core that I had on that ship, but again, I think only upgraded the first 1 or 2 levels on that. So that was the next ship to die in that fight. And then followed on from that was the next Dominix, which we took down, which again you can see my 2 Ravens were top damage on that. My first Raven had done sorry, my Typhoon had done a reasonable amount of damage, but that was still overtaken by my Raven. So I don't know. Maybe I should, if I'd gone with 3 Ravens instead of 2 Ravens and a Typhoon, maybe things might have worked out a bit better as well. Because you can see there, my two Ravens did quite a lot of damage on that. And again, this was a fairly well tanked Dominic's. You can see he had 3 adaptive invulnerability fields on there. Anyway, so at that stage it was 2-1. I had killed 2 battleships and only lost 1 of my own. But here's where the kind of tide started to turn. And again, this is where the fact that I hadn't killed off that Oracle really came into effect. So you can see here on my this Raven, you can see the final blow was from the Celestis Interdictor, but the Tempest was top damage there. But again, the Oracle doing a significant amount of damage on that one. So again, if I'd taken out the Oracle or forced the Oracle off the field, I think things could have turned out a bit differently. And that, again, you can see my Raven was relatively cheap at 550 million. And then finally, it was very, very close. I was focusing on the Tempest. After I took the 2 Dominic's out, I was focusing on the Tempest. And it literally came down, I think the Tempest, I don't know what it was, but it looked like he literally had about 1 to 5% of structure left. And it basically came down to who was going to hit who first. And unfortunately, missiles always take a little bit more time. So you can see here, the Tempest was the top damage on that. Again, I don't know what the Tempest was definitely doing a lot of damage. I don't know what the fit was at. Maybe the Tempest was, maybe because the Tempest came in later, maybe he wasn't tank fit. Maybe he was more of a DPS fit, and maybe if I'd concentrated on that first, he might have died sooner. But again, in the fight, I seem to recall he was tanking quite well. So maybe that's just a wrong assumption. But you can see there, the Oracle again contributing. So that was really a good little fight. As I said, I lost 3 battleships. They lost 2 battleships, almost lost the 3rd. I was fighting outnumbered and outgunned, but it was a good fight. And again, just another example of the kind of content that this war between SHH and the Crab Coalition has created, because it's been pretty boring over the last 2-3 months. Not much has been going on, and now suddenly I've got all this kind of content on doorstep, and I've been getting more PvP kills and more PvP fights in the last, I would say, in the last week than I probably have in the last 6 months or even year. It's been that much fun. So again, I want to say just thank you to the Crab Coalition for continuing to bring the fights. I just kind of wish that I had been in my proper, if I'd been in my proper Ravens, well, probably if I'd been in my proper Raven Strikers, I probably wouldn't have risked them. To be honest, they are bloody expensive ships. But I would have probably walked away without losing a single ship in that fight. But as I said, these were kind of throwaway ships. I hadn't used them for a long time. You can see there, waiting to get that one back. But I've got quite a few other kind of options here for a little bit of action, and it's been great for me because, as I said, I can only play like an hour or so at a time. I don't really have that much time. That's why I don't take part in the CTAs, because normally I join up with the CTA. By the time the CTA is even moving out, just saying, right, okay, let's go, guys, we're going to go off to the target. By the time that's happened, I'm already having to log off. So it's been great that I can get kind of like this bite-sized PvP out of this war. So I hope this lasts for a while. I'm really enjoying it. I'm probably going to run out of money at some point. So if you feel like donating, then please do send me some ISK in the game. But again, that's not necessary. I will live and die by my own sword. All right. Well, thank you guys. I thought this might be interesting for you to have this little account of a small skirmish. Probably boring for a lot of you who are more experienced at this, but certainly I found it fun. Thank you for watching. Take care. Goodbye.